please rise for the singing of the Hatikvah and the national anthem.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Prince, and with Manny Landau, we both serve as co-presidents of the Jewish Community Council of Greater Teaneck. We've done this for over 35 years. The Yom HaShoah Committee and members have worked tirelessly to honor the victims of the Holocaust and to teach our community about this horrific event, especially the co-chairs of the committee. We need to thank Steve Fox, Heidi Fuchs, and Felice Grossman, who have devoted themselves in making this program both meaningful and educational. Indeed, it is all of you who have honored those victims as well by your presence here this evening. We thank public officials, council members that are including Mohammed Hamadudan, who was a recent attendee of Hartman, Mendy or Mark Schwartz, Jason Castle, I believe, is here, Alan Sohn, Ellie Katz, and Henry Pruitt. And we thank them especially for their efforts in working with our community in building our new Holocaust Memorial, which we'll learn more about very soon. Sorry. We also want to welcome the Bergen County Freeholder Vice Chairwoman, Tracy Silna Zora. We have other names that we wish to thank, but they're listed in your program, so please view those before you leave tonight. We come together this evening as a community and as members of a very special one as well. We all mourn the loss of Lisette Parker, our mayor, our esteemed mayor that we all loved this past week. We've had the honor of working with Ms. Parker and quickly understood why she was our mayor. Her energy, her humility, her kindness and eagerness to help and work with all of our community was a testament to her legacy. We'll all miss her dearly. We call upon Ellie Katz, acting mayor, to present a proclamation this evening on behalf of the town council.
Whereas the Holocaust was a state-sponsored, systematic persecution, and annihilation of European Jewry by Nazi Germany and its collaborators between 1933 and 1945. Jews were the primary victims. 6 million were murdered. Gypsies, the handicapped, and Poles were also targeted for destruction or decimation for racial, ethnic, or national reasons. Millions more, including homosexuals, Jehovah's Witnesses, Soviet prisoners of war, and political dissidents, also suffered oppression and death under Nazi tyranny. And now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Township Council, the Township of Teaneck, do hereby proclaim the week of May 1st, 2016 through May 8th, 2016 as days of remembrance in memory of the victims of the Holocaust and in honor of the survivors, as well as the rescuers and liberators, and further proclaim that we as citizens of the Township of Teaneck should strive to overcome intolerance and indifference through learning and remembrance. Signed, Ellie Katz, Jason Castle, Mark Schwartz, Alan Sohn, Mohammed Hamaduddin, Henry Pruitt. And just on a personal note, this is actually my first public appearance since the passing of Lizette Parker, our mayor. She is a name that's visibly missing from this proclamation. And I actually spoke to her a few weeks ago and asked her about being here tonight, and she said she's absolutely going to be, obviously, she's absolutely going to be here and she will read this. But I'll tell you that she was a strong supporter of the Jewish community, and she was certainly a supporter of the recent memorial that the council unanimously approved on the municipal green. So we as a council certainly do miss her, and we as a township certainly mourn her and miss her as well. On the note of the municipal green, we were fortunate to have our council subcommittee, Alan Sohn, Jason Castle, Henry Pruitt, as leaders in that and champion that cause, which I don't want to take anyone's speech away. We're very proud as a council that we unanimously supported it. I know Dr. Henry Pruitt was the one who advocated for the municipal green, which I personally feel is going to be a real fitting memorial and location. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Felicia Grossman, and together with Heidi Fuchs and Steve Fox, we are the chairs of the Holocaust Commemoration Committee. We are grateful to the Township of Teaneck for granting permission to erect a permanent Holocaust memorial on the municipal green. Additional information about the memorial and how to get involved in this project can be found in the flyer inserted in your program. Please turn your attention to a brief introductory video.
I was a child Holocaust survivor. I spent 2 years hiding literally in a barn at the age of 3 with my parents, my aunt, and I lost most of my family members during the war.
My father was a survivor of the Warsaw Ghetto who, after losing much of his family, became a partisan. In tribute to him and others like him, I became part of a wonderful group of volunteers who produces an extremely meaningful annual Holocaust commemoration in Teaneck.
My father and his parents are survivors of the Holocaust. My grandmother was born in Kremenetz, Poland in 1914 and witnessed the Nazis slaughter nearly her entire family.
I know a little bit about the Holocaust, but most of my friends don't really know anything. A survivor once spoke to her class, and we were really shocked at what she said.
As the numbers of survivors continued to diminish, a number of us felt that it was increasingly important to establish a permanent Holocaust memorial in the community to assure the survivors they will not be forgotten and educate the public about the lessons to be learned about the Holocaust.
When I heard about this project, I felt that it was really important so that people would know what we went through.
We wanted something unique, not just a memorial, but an education center that provides an organic means of teaching lessons of hatred and bigotry. We spent over 4 years working with our town council and our neighbors and finally received permission to come up with a plan.
We were given one of 4 35-foot by 35-foot sites with the challenge of fulfilling the committee's goal of memorializing the martyrs while also creating a space that will support our educational goals and inspire visitors of all ages and backgrounds.
The educational heart of the design will be a 50-foot-long reading rail that uses state-of-the-art technologies that will convey an overview of Holocaust history and focus on local survivor testimonies. The outdoor exhibit will be reinforced by opportunities for learning through multimedia technologies and discussion, both on the site and within the Teaneck Library.
Anti-Semitism, unfortunately, is alive and only growing stronger. We in our community can do our part in combating baseless hatred by establishing a public Holocaust memorial and educational center which will foster both dialogue and understanding.
Don't let the world forget what the Nazis did to us.
Help us teach future generations.
Help educate kids like me to know what happened and to learn from it.
Help us build this legacy to the martyrs.
Welcome to the 34th Annual Teaneck Yom HaShoah Community-Wide Observance, sponsored by the Jewish Community Council of Greater Teaneck. This program is the culmination of 12 months of planning, implementing, and oversight by a devoted committee of over 30 volunteers. In addition, there are many individuals whose efforts were an integral part of this evening's success. I encourage all of you to refer to your program for a complete list of names. Tonight's program is supplemented by an art exhibit of art of the Holocaust called Traces of Humanity, which was displayed by the Bergenfield Library during the month of April and now is located in the Teaneck Library through the month of May. I joined this committee as the child of an aging Holocaust survivor and the mother of 2 teenage daughters. I believe that it is our responsibility to never let the younger generations forget. Even as a teacher, I teach my young children to never forget. It is my hope and prayer that the 3rd and 4th generations will pick up the challenge to never forget. We would like to acknowledge the presence of Professor Monty Noam Pankower, a prominent Holocaust scholar and author who is Professor Emeritus of Jewish History at the Machon Lander Graduate School of Jewish Studies in Jerusalem. Among his more than 10 published books, he is the award-winning Holocaust Studies, The Jews Were Expendable, The Holocaust in Israel Reborn, and The Swastika's Darkening Shadow. I would like to share with you an excerpt from a letter that we received from United States Senator Cory Booker. My thoughts are with you and the entire Jewish community today as we remember the 6 million Jews who lost their lives in the Holocaust. Today, we recognize Helga Marx Silberman, a living proof that faith and courage will endure even in the face of unparalleled tragedy. In gathering to remember, pray for, and pay homage to those who perished, we continue to ensure that the past lives live on in our memories and propel us towards a brighter future. Tonight, we are honored to have as our guest speaker, Mrs. Helga Marx Silberman. In 1938, 13-year-old Helga joined her grandfather as he ran into a burning shul to rescue a Torah. Forced to be a liaison between her community and the SS, she was able to warn those destined for death and save many lives. Her story and her will to survive with the Torah she helped save is nothing short of a miracle. I present to you Helga.
Good evening. I thought we would get together tonight, and I didn't think you were going to come in all this horrifying weather Hashem is sending us. I'm going to tell you a story which is the truth and nothing but the truth. I hope we have enough young children with us that they can listen and learn that which we who were saved from the Nazis will never ever have to experience what so many and I experienced. I will skip this wonderful youth I had till 1933, and then slowly became aware that I was not German and Jewish, but that I was Jewish, and then maybe German. I lived a lovely life until 1933, when the first Hitler Jugend came to Bonn, where I was born. I come from a family that was born in Bonn, and I was raised as a Bonner girl, and I had all the privilege one dreams of. And then slowly but surely, we were thrown out of our schools, and we were put into a building that had anyone from 7 years old to 18. And there we learned Hebrew, a little bit of it, German history, and we were having 2 teachers only, but we were thrown together and we were taught to be close together and try never to walk the streets alone. It was a horrifying awakening for somebody, and by 1936, my grandparents, whom I grew up with, my mother came to me one night and said she had a non-Jewish gentleman friend. My parents were divorced. My father had escaped with my stepmother, whom I called Mums, and promised she should not hear it tonight, never to call her stepmother again. Escaped because she wasn't Jewish to Holland. My mother had to flee because she had a non-Jewish friend who was a gentleman. And she came to me in 1938 at midnight, I will never forget, and said, I give you my blessings. I must escape. They're going to pick me up tomorrow morning to send me to the camps. She said, I go to America. I have a ticket. My friend got it for me. And I will make money instantly to get you over. She had a quota, but Mr. Roosevelt, our president at the time, decided not to give me one. He didn't know me personally. So I stayed with my grandparents, whom I adored, and we had lived in a villa together all our lives. And it became a completely different life. Everybody I knew in the school that were together suddenly disappeared. My closest friend, who was 5 years older than I was taken away in front of me went to Dachau. And slowly but surely, I was left alone. There were 1 or 2 or 3 Jewish comrades in school that we shared together. And all I can say to you, that came the 10th of November, I was suddenly aware that my life was at risk. At 6 o'clock in the morning, our doorbell rang, and we did have a maid at that time yet, and there stood the Gestapo. I try to remember today how many were there. There was one, what we called in German, Oberkommandant. We never found actually a name. He was one of these big wheels. And he said, Mr. Rollman, that was my adorable, wonderful human being of a grandfather, if you want to see that your temple, your synagogue burned, then come with us. And maybe you want to take something with you. And I said to my Opa, You might as well get used to that word Opa. It means grandfather in German. I will not let you go alone. My grandmother fainted deadly away, and we woke her up, and I promised her I'd bring Opa back in one piece. I promise you, even if I die on that trip. So we went in a big black Mercedes. To today, if somebody would give me a gift of a big black Mercedes, I would simply say I can't accept it. And as we drove into the city, we lived just a little bit outside the city, we saw the flames of our synagogue. They let us out, and my grandfather grabbed my hand, and we ran into it. Now try to imagine, I don't want to give you any terrible dreams. My grandfather looked a little bit like Chaim Weizmann, and he had a little beard right here, and we ran into the synagogue, and the Torah scrolls were burning, and everything was in fire. It was a horrible sight. The Ornar Kodesh was absolutely, completely in flames. The Torahs were on the floor, and the one big shot of a Gestapo came and said, Mr. Ullman, and I tried to translate it to you, if you like to save a Torah, you may, just grab it. And we grabbed a little Torah which was already burning, and I looked at my Opa, and his little beard was burning, and I slapped him, and I grabbed him, and I slapped him until the little flames that were burning his little chin were out, and he grabbed the Torah, and as he was doing that, the Torah had a silver yad, a silver crown, which was just melting away. One of them came, these Gestapo schweins, and said, you can't have the silver, and just tore it off. Today we have the Torah with us. I tell you the story of it later. We grabbed the Torah, we slapped it, the mantle that was burning, and the Gestapo said, now quickly run out because you're going to get burned. I grabbed my grandfather and the Torah, and we ran out of that burning synagogue. It was the most horrifying experience of my life. My life had further with these people around me, terrible experience, but nothing was, see this gentleman and that burning little beard and the Torah, and we were out of the synagogue on the street, and my grandfather hugged me, gave me this non-burning little Torah, and said, you must guard this with your life. This is your life, not you, not me. You will be saved. Maybe I will be saved with you. And with this, the Gestapo came, took us back to our house, and I cannot even tell you the feeling we had when we entered, and my grandmother was standing there, and the Gestapo entered with us in this beautiful, what we call lovely Jewish home. We were not Orthodox, but we were believing in God. Every Friday night, there was an open house with many people. Bonn was a university city, it still is today. And they came and they stayed with us. And when nightfall came, the overhead there said, I'm going to move in here now. That was the beginning of 2 years. It was the 9th to the 10th of November, that even today, where I am many decades old, as you know, I get every once in a while the feeling that, oh my God, how did we manage this? Came nightfall, we still had a maid like I told you. The gentleman said, well, the little girl has a room, and I had my own little library. I love to read, I still do today. And he said, I'm moving in. And he took our library as his office, and within no time we had little microphones all over the place. And he went and he said, I'm sleeping from now on next to her bedroom. I had a little playroom there because little girls like to play. And he moved in there, and that night in the morning, I got up and I was a woman. I said no only once, and anyone who's interested later, I showed him when I said no, he took a knife and he said, either that or I kill you. And I have the mark right here. If nobody believes me, I'll show it to you. I woke up in the morning and I was a woman, full of rage. And I made up my mind right there and then, I'm going to get even with you. I'll be smart. I tried to be smart. We went in, he and I, to our breakfast room, and they were my grandparents, and to the day they died, they never once said what happened. He left to go to the office. He was picked up, and he said, I'll be back. You are free to go for a walk. And when he left, my grandfather grabbed a little piece of paper, and he wrote, you have now become a grown-up woman, and you will try with me to save all our friends and as many people as we can. Rather give away your life, but let us save. Find out whom they are going to pick up. Pick up meant the Gestapo would go to somebody's house, smash the windows. When they didn't open the door, smash through the door, pick up the men or the youngsters or whoever, and took them to the train or in their cars, if they were lucky enough that they did kill them off the street, and took them to Dachau. I didn't quite understand what was going on in my life, but my grandfather said, do what you can do and find out, and in the morning, when he leaves, or when he isn't at breakfast, I have a little paper there, you write down the names, whom they want to pick up, and I instantly will go to the bathroom and throw the paper down. I burn it first. From that morning on, I became the most loving 13-year-old woman at that time, that even today, I thought about it last night, how am I going to tell these wonderful people who come out tomorrow night in this miserable weather to hear this awful story. But I want you to listen to it so you can talk about it to your children, to your grown-ups, to your friends. Take it with you and spread the word. We do not want, or I standing in front of you, would not want that your children, your grown-up children, your grandchildren, or even your great-grandchildren will ever have to live through 2 years the way I had to live in order to save lives. I became, I think today as a grown woman, the most perfect lover in the world. I had this man around my little finger, and somehow, somewhere during the night, I found out who would be picked up tomorrow morning, or the day after, or the list. My grandfather at that time was a member of City Hall, and he was sort of able to get, I don't know how he did it, we never discussed it, found out the names, and I found out the names he had on his list, and we were able to warn the doctors and the lawyers and the professors and whoever was there and say, try to leave. Any which way, you're going to be picked up and sent away. It was a horrible feeling. There was one gentleman, his name was Dr. Samuel, who brought me to life in 1925. And at night, this man I had to live with, his name was Oberstandarte Miller. His first name was Frank. Eric. And Frank Eric told me, oh, tomorrow we're going to pick up Dr. Samuel. But there was just absolutely no way I could get to my grandparents. So first thing in the morning, I said, I will never forget that, and I've never spoken about it. I remembered last night, I went to the bathroom and said to my grandmother, I'm going to throw up. That was before this man I had to live with. He wasn't even a man. He was a beast, a murderer. And I went to the bathroom and I said, Dr. Samuel, please let him escape. I mentioned his name a little later. I loved the man, he brought me to life, and I didn't know whether he would escape, would be able to escape, that Opa could help him escape. And I will quickly leave years later when I went someplace, and it was in my mother's living room in New York, that she heard him say, well, Helga never got out, she was killed, but she saved my life. And I walked in and there he was, it was just absolutely wonderful. Now let's go back to 1938. It was a horrifying, frightening thing. The many Jewish stores, our little shul, our synagogue, our entire life was torn apart. Every day somebody else, or many people, families, we could see them torn away over the street, some of them walking around nude. It was awful. My grandparents asked me that their best friend they haven't heard of, would I run over and see? And when I walked into their house, the doors were open, and both of them had their heads in the gas oven. They didn't want to live through it. How can a 13-year-old go back and say your friends have just taken their lives? I skipped the 2 years, they were awful. I was well taken care of by this Oberstandachtenführer, Gestapo gentleman, which he wasn't. But at one point or another, I felt maybe he does care just a little bit. Be the sweetest, the kindest, and keep on getting people away from them. And we were very successful. It was an awful life. And my mother had escaped to America, and my father, who had married a non-Jewish woman, my darling mums, had escaped to Holland and kept on calling and saying, you got to let my daughter go. Well, that is something that was not even explained to him on the telephone. What can I say to a father on the telephone? I'm living with the Gestapo. Of course I'm living with the Gestapo. I'm in Germany and they won't let me out. But they did come to my grandparents and said, you're free to leave. She stays here. And of course my grandparents wouldn't go without me. I begged them, but they wouldn't. I'm going to skip 2 years of being a spy, I don't want to, I think we have too many youth here to spell the word H-U-R, or maybe it's spelled H-U-U-R, who knows. But we were able, with the help of this brilliant brain my grandfather had, and this wonderful 2 people who took care of me, who made me feel in the morning that I was a gift of God, even when I felt I had been besmeared, but I became a perfect lady. I made this man believe that there was no other woman in the world, no other 13-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl, almost the beginning of 50-year-old girl, I lived with him, that there was no other girl. I, with Opa, saved lives. I saw people being killed in front of me. I had finally gotten a revolver on my side because he wanted me, God forbid, one of his comrades would come in and he wasn't there. Here's a gun, you kill them. Sure, I kill them and they kill me. Anyway, there came one morning, 2 years later, that he said, I am bringing you and your grandparents to the border in Holland, and your father can pick you up there. The morning came, I grabbed my Torah. I tell you the story of the Torah just a little bit later because it is a happy ending to a sad 2 years. And we took, of course, the black Mercedes, and they brought us to Aachen, which is a lovely town I've visited many times in the last years. And he brought us to the border. I cannot begin to tell you the feeling. It was not like today. It was a strip of land and a sort of a street with grass and trees, and on the other side was Holland. It's about as far apart. I was looking before when I had a moment by myself, the length of the auditorium here. And at the end of the auditorium, where it says exit, was my father and my lovely stepmother with the Dutch police. And this man of my last 2 years stood there and said, Mr. and Mrs. Roman, go right ahead. And my grandfather said, not going without my child. And he said, well, go. She's going to stay here with us. And my grandfather says, I'm not going. I'm staying with you. Then you go to the camp. Well, I said, I don't care as long as she goes with me. So I took my Torah and gave him to my Opa. And I said, remember the 10th of November? You gave me this Torah and said, this is your life. I said, you take this Torah, now it is your life. And with this, my grandmother fainted dead away, but we got her back up, and I said, Oma, please go over. I come. And he turned around, this Oberstandachtenführer, and said, I promise I bring her back here tomorrow morning. You go over there. I give you my word of honor, his word of honor. What kind of honor? He raped a young girl. He killed how many Bonner people? Never mind all the others. And I said, you two go. I'll be here tomorrow morning, I promise. And my grandfather blessed me. And there were, I can't remember if there were 5 or 6 other Gestapos around us. And they went with the Torah over, and I saw my father greet them. And he said, come, you and I go to Aachen. I figured, well, this is it. The hotel that we slept that night, or didn't sleep that night, I have often visited it since then, because it was so close to my father's house in Holland. And we went there. I think you are all old enough or grown up enough to realize what that night was like. But the next morning, I can never forget when I have an egg in the morning what it was like. We had a lovely breakfast, and he said, I'm bringing you to the border. And I looked at him and I said, I really don't believe you. And he said, I love you enough. I'm bringing you to the border. So we went, I can't remember, 4 or 5 others of his companions in that damp black Mercedes, and we were at the border, and my father was standing there with my stepmother, my mom's, and my Opa and my Oma, and the Dutch police, just where the exit is here. I see it right now. And he said, I will never, ever see you again. Go now, quick. He gave me a kiss on my cheek. I never forget what he said, and I used it the other day. On your left cheek, because that's where your heart is. And ich liebe dich. I love you. Go quick. And I went. it was usually before I speak to my classes in Germany, which I do every year, the children all say, how could this happen? Or if I speak before my lovely Jewish pupils, they say, how could this happen? And I always remain, and I say the story to you, so you will tell it to your grown-up children or your grandchildren, and I hope they say it. We did all this, and we talk today about it, that it will never, ever happen again. You must remember you have to do what you have to do, tell to the children, but you must remember you are Jewish, and when you are Jewish, and Hashem is with you all the time, you will do the right thing because you have to do what you have to do. Now I will tell you, this is the end. I went over to Holland. I kissed my dad goodbye. I thought he was dead and my mom's would be dead, but she hit him. And in 1948, the Red Cross let me know that he was looking for a child, and I said, well, I'm not the child, I don't have those names, because they called me M-U-B-B-E-S, with these little 2 dots on top and said Mübbes. So my husband was in the CIO during the Second World War, and he came home one day and he said, you know, I had a letter from a sergeant in Holland, and he said he met a family, and there was a little boy and a little girl, and they were underground, they're looking for their daughter. I said, well, that's not me. He said, no, don't get your hopes up, it's not you. But it turned out that the sergeant said, well, he found out from that family that the little girl, me, didn't know how quickly I had grown up on the 10th to 11th of November, called Mübbes. And the sergeant went back to this little town in Holland and said, you know, did you ever hear that word? And my father and moms looked at one another and said, she's alive. And that's how we found each other. And I have a little brother and a little sister. They have brother, have sister, but she's like me and I'm like her, although they're 22 years between. And my brother is really, we are so alike and we are constantly together, although they live in Holland. And you see, every sadness during the time of Hitler had a little bit of Hashem's blessing. So all I can say is, we do have a God. Don't ever forget that. I know many of you come from Poland and from Treblinka, and just remember, there is a God. My little Torah is in our synagogue in Riverdale, Adas Yisroel of Riverdale. It wasn't kosher anymore, so the entire congregation at the time, bought one word or just one name, anything. We had the Torah partially rewritten, and it is with us. We take it out for Yizkor, and our students learn their bas mitzvah, their bar mitzvah. It is with us. I headed over to Moriah, this wonderful school, and had the children look at it and touch it. So you see, we survived. We have plenty of people with us at this moment who survived. And I'm sure there are moments in life, and I know myself, I said last night, now why am I doing this? I don't sleep well. Everything comes back. And I sat up in my beautiful living room and had a glass of wine and said, I've been so lucky, I've been so fortunate, and God is there. And I found myself, in all honesty to you who do not know me, saying, Baruch Hashem, I'm here. Many are here, and I'm doing what I'm doing tomorrow night. I know it awakes memories, but it also awakes hope. our children, our grandchildren, and their grandchildren will never ever have to live through what we lived, through what I lived, through the memories. They will be happy, they know they're Jewish. We're building here a beautiful memorial, and God has blessed that. Thank you for listening to me. If you have any questions, I very gladly answer them to you. So just ask me. I'll try to answer them, and thank you for listening.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Our first song this evening is called Es Brennt, which means it is burning. It is a Yiddish song that was written in 1938 by Mordechai Gebirtig. Gebirtig was born in Krakow in 1877. He was a carpenter, but was known as the troubadour of the Jewish people. He wrote Es Brennt in response to a 1936 pogrom in the Polish town of Przeżytek, hoping its message would encourage Jews to resist the rising tide of anti-Semitic violence. During the war, Es Brennt was sung throughout the ghettos of Poland, and Krakow's underground Jewish resistance adopted this song, Es Brennt, as its anthem. In June 1942, Gebirtig was murdered by German soldiers while refusing to comply with the deportation order. Es brennt, es brennt, Brüderlach, es brennt. Oi, unser eurem Städte nebach brennt. Beiße Winden mit ihr Geusen, reißen Brachen und zerbläusen. Starker noch die wilde Flammen, als schon brennt. Und steht und guckt, dass sich mit verlegter Hand. Und steht und guckt, dass sich unser Städte brennt. Es brennt, Brüderlach, es brennt. Unser eurem Städte nebach brennt. So haben schon die Feierzungen das ganze Städte eingeschlungen. Und die Beise winden Hutschen, unser Städte brennt. Und steht und guckt, dass sich mit verlegter Hand. Und steht und guckt, dass sich unser Städte brennt. Es brennt, Brüderlach, es brennt. Die Hilfe ist nur in euch allein gewählt. Ob das Städteli sagt Eier, nehmt die Kehle und löscht das Feuer, löscht mit Eier, Eigenblut, beweist, dass ihr doch kennt. Steht nicht Brüder, und da soll sich mit verlegter Hand. Steht nicht Brüder, löscht das Feuer, unser Städtel brennt. Es brennt, es brennt, es brennt. The next song is called Ani Maamin. This haunting melody is attributed to Azriel David Fastag, a Mudjitzer Chassid whose compositions were regularly sung in the court of the Mudjitzer Rebbe, Rabbi Shaul Yedidya Elazar. He reportedly composed this tune in a cattle car while being taken to Treblinka. Fastag announced that he would give half of his share of the world to come to whomever would bring the tune to the Mudjitzer Rebbe, who had already escaped Europe in 1940. Two men took him up on his offer and leaped from the moving train. One died from the fall, but the other survived and eventually brought the tune to the Rebbe's son in Israel, who sent his father the musical score. This song was sung by dozens of Jews as they marched to the gas chambers in the Nazi death camps. In addition to Yom HaShoah, some also sing it at the Pesach Seder in memory of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, which began on the first night of Passover in 1943. ani mamin ve'af al pi she'yismameya im kol zeh ani mamin. The last song is called Zognit Kainmo, also referred to as Partisaner Lied or partisan song. This song is considered one of the chief anthems of Holocaust survivors and is sung at Holocaust memorial services around the world. The lyrics of the song were written in 1943 by Hirsch Glick, a young Jewish inmate of the Vilna ghetto. The title means "Never Say," and derives from the first line of the song, "Never say that you have reached the final road." During World War II, Zognit Kainmo was adopted by a number of Jewish partisan groups operating in Eastern Europe. It became a symbol of resistance against Nazi Germany's persecution of the Jews and the Holocaust. Let's all stand up and sing this last song together with Marsha Motzen and the Avne Choir. Sag nicht kein Mal, als du gehst im letzten Weg, kannst Stimmen bleiben, verstellen blaue Tag. Vollkommen wird nach unser ausgebänkte Schau. Es wird abhäupt an unser Trott, wir seinen da. Vollkommen wird nach unser ausgebänkte Schau. Es wird abhäupt an unser Trott, wir seinen da. From lands so green with palms to lands all white with snow, we shall be coming with our anguish and our woe. And where the spurting of our blood fell on the earth, there our courage and our spirit have rebirth. Und wo gefallen ist der Spitz von unser Blut, sprotzen wird dort unser Gwura, unser Mut. This song was written with our blood and not with lead. It's not a little tune that birds sing overhead. This song our people sang before a crumbling wall. With their grenades in hand they heeded to the call. Das hat der Volkswischen fallende gewähnt. Das Lied gesungen mit Naganes in die Hand. Du sag nicht keinmal, als du gehst am letzten Weg. Gott Stimmen bleien, verstellen blaue Tag. Vollkommen wird nach unser ausgebänkte Schau. Es wird abhäupt an unser Trott, wir seien da. Vollkommen wird nach unser ausgebänkte Schau. Es wird abhäupt an unser Trott, wir seien da. Wir seien da, wir seien da, wir seien
Tehillim Chaf Gimel, Psalm 23. Mizmor David, Adonai Roi Lo Echsar, Binostesha Yarbitzeni, Almei Menuchos Yinahaleni, Nafshi Yeshovev, Yancheni V'maglei Tzedek L'ma'an Shemo, Gam Ki Elech Begates Almaves, Lo Ira Ra, Ki Ata Imadi, Shivtecha Umishantecha, Hema Yenachamuni, Ta'aroch Lefanai Shulcha Neged Tzorai, Dishanta Vashemen Roshi, Kosi Rivaya, Ach Tov Vachesed Yirdefuni Kol Yemei Chayai, Vishavti Beves Adonai Leorech Yamim. A song of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God causes me to lie down in lush pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. God restores my soul and guides me in righteous paths for God's name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your scepter and staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in full view of my adversaries. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and shall I dwell in the house of the Lord for lengths of days.
We continue with our commemoration of both survivors and survival. More than 3/4 of a century has passed since the beginning of the official effort to permanently extinguish the flame of world Jewry. From the bleak and black darkness of that sinister slaughter emerged the survivors, who struggled to rekindle the embers of the nearly smothered light of our lost, but not last, generation. We will in a moment be asking the survivors seated at tonight's commemoration to rise, candles in hand, turn and stand facing our Teaneck community. As we gaze upon the collectivity of the pinpoints of light, we honor these glowing lights as we remember our extinguished ones. We honor your bravery and remember the glory of our martyrs. We honor your strength and fortitude as we remember the strength and fortitude of our lost ones. We honor the commitment and perseverance of our survivors and hope that we have the strength to carry that brightly lit torch which emanated from their embers. I now ask the survivors to rise, candles in hand, and face those assembled for tonight's commemoration. Please be seated. As in past years, we will be reciting the names of those lost in the Shoah, relatives of members of our own community. Because the list of individual names is so long, too long, more than 2,000 names, we limit ourselves to the recitation of family names. With each name comes a face and a story, and with each comes a long history and a painful realization that a branch of that family tree was traumatically severed. We mourn until this very day for having lost our most prized possession, a generation of our people. At tonight's commemoration, the 6 million will be symbolically represented by 6 survivors. Sophie Enfield from Podbrug, Poland. She survived as a young child with her family, living in the freezing forests of eastern Poland for 6 weeks. For 22 months, she was hidden with her parents and an aunt in a barn owned by a Polish family under the nose of the Gestapo. Sophie and her family were liberated by the Russians.
Marcel Kozak from Paris, France. His family was warned that there would be a raid. Marcel's father and oldest brother went into hiding, and he stayed in their apartment with his ill stepmother. The police took away his stepmother, but allowed Marcel to leave. He was 10 years old. Marcel sought refuge with a neighbor and then with an uncle who placed him with the French Jewish scouts in the Alps. From there, he was given an assumed name and was sent to live with a Christian family. The woman who had hidden him, Madame Chifflet, was recently named as a righteous Gentile by Yad Vashem. Ultimately, his stepmother, father, and brother were killed at Auschwitz. Accompanying him will be Charles Bacall, whose father, Jacob Bakalchuk, was a survivor of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising in Auschwitz. His mother, Fanny Scharf Bakalchuk, was a survivor of slave labor camps.
Melanie Holder-Elbaum from Vienna, Austria. She departed by herself on a kinder transport on November the 24th, 1940, and arrived in the United States on December the 25th, 1940. Leaving Vienna in 1940 was a double-edged sword. Quote, "It was going to save my life, but also both my mother and I knew that we might never see each other again. The thought was terrible for us. However, my mother desperately wanted me to survive, and I did. I will remember her for as long as I live. My mother gave me the opportunity to get married and raise a beautiful family, 4 generations of wonderful Jewish people who are here because I survived."
Alan Schachter from Rozbudov, Poland. After being driven from their home by the Germans, his family was shipped to Gulag to Siberia by the Russians. There they survived for 2 years of forced slave labor. They then spent 3 years in Uzbekistan, returning to Poland at war's end. Next, the family was smuggled to Czechoslovakia and on to the American zone in Germany. After 4 years in a German DP camp, the family emigrated to America.
Jerry Stein from Medan, Czechoslovakia. His family was taken from their home to a ghetto in 1942, where they remained until 1944, at which time they were transported to Auschwitz. His mother and youngest brother and sister were immediately killed. His father and married sister and brother and their families also perished in the Shoah. Jerry worked as a slave laborer in Birkenau and was later interned at Dora until his liberation by the Russians in 1945.
Chaim Stern from Czechoslovakia. His family was taken to Auschwitz, Erev Shavuos, 1944. His younger brother was immediately killed. His mother and younger sister were killed 2 weeks later. Chaim and an older brother were sent to Warsaw to dismantle the ghetto. From there, they were sent on to a death march to Germany, and then on to Dachau, and finally to Mühldorf. He was liberated on April 30th, 1945 by the U.S. Army. Chaim, his brother, and an older sister were the only survivors of his immediate family. He has devoted his life to helping his fellow Jews with the slogan, "Never again."
The names that you are about to hear should serve as inspiration to remind all of us that what is essential is that all Israel of the past, present, and future be bound together for Jewish survival. May God dry our tears and give us a clear vision and the moral and spiritual strength to continue where our departed left off. These we have lost.
The family of Nurit and Gary Adler.
The Adlers, the Hasenfrassets, the family of Peter and Ruth R. Adler.
The Stearns, the family of Seymour and Rivki Adler.
Devorah Esther Adler, the Winselbergs, the family of Daniel and Gabrielle Altman.
The Altmans, the Bluths, the Goldmans, Yitzhak Yarblum, Miriam Nadel. The family of Charles and Joanne Bacall.
The Bakalchuks, the Scharfs, the family of Shirley and Hadley Bach.
The Bachs, the Reinfelds, the Schwartzes, the Grosses. The family of Ofra and Adam Backenroth.
The Backenroth, the Horshovskys, the Lifshitzes, the Schlamkowitzes, the Schneidermans, the family of Zitta and Kenneth Bander.
The Davidoviches, Rosie Einhorn, Paisa Farkas, Joska Fogel, and 2 sisters. The Kassirers, the Shiners, Shlomi Stein, the Storbers, Beloveteran family, Mariam Wolf. The family of Shlomo and Sarah Barber.
Sarah Bauman-Golova, Dvora Golova Krieger, Tsina Golova Katz, Miriam and Moshe Morgenstern, Shimon Golova, Joseph Safran, the Barbers, the Bernsteins, the Herrings, the Krumpenholzes, the Schnitzers, the Weissblums, the Zilbermans, the family of Moshe and Pasi Rosen Beowitz.
Chaya and Mordechai Ephraim Fischel Rosenholz, the Rosens. The family of Helene and Peter Benz.
The Berliners, the Jonases, Isidor Meister, the family of Rochelle Choina Berger.
Yisrael Yaakov Choina, the Coopers, the Sabutskis, the family of Laszlo and Edna Berkovitz.
The Berenses, the Grunspans, the Berkovitzes, the Waltner family, the family of Bruno Bieler.
The Bielers, the Gerstens, the family of Martin and Irene Black.
The Blacks, the Isaacs, the Housemans, the Lifkinses, Mina Reese and 4 children, the Rosenbaums, Frieda Hermann, Elise Ekman, the family of Brian and Cindy Goldstein Blitz.
The Goldsteins, the Levies, the family of Gilbert Bob.
The Ailes, the Bobs, Golda Tinter Brownfeld, the Fines, the Gimpels, Shmarya Tinter, the family of Eleanor and Frank Breslau.
Carl Breslau, the family of Leora Nitter-Brovman.
The Ratners, the Epsteins, the Naryulanskis, the family of Ephraim and Chava Kasper.
The Shkilevskis, the family of Fager Pearl Fishman Cohen.
The Berkowitzes, the Fishmans, the Goldmans, the family of Lynn Engelberg Damari.
The Einhorns, the Schumans, the family of Barry and Ellen Finkelstein Down.
The Coopermans, the Lebsellers, the family of Sam and Fran Ebel.
The Ebels, the Davidovitzes, the Grosses, the Lazars, the Makovkas, the Strulowitzes, the Wishners. The family of Arlene Steinlauf Ice and Arthur Ice.
The Browns, the Goldeners, the Stearns, the family of Phyllis Goldman Eisenman.
The Feldmans, the Goldmans, the Klagswalds, the Lipskers, the Nymans, the Saltzmans. The family of Toby Engelhart Isaac.
The Engelharts, the Goldsteins, the family of Amy Elfman.
The Elfmans, the Sidurskis. The family of Renee Epstein.
The Rosensteins, the Gunzenhausers, the family of Hilary F. and Martin Fine.
The Fonfines, the family of Howard and Esther Reichkin-Feinberg.
The Reichkins, the Schneibergs, Chana and Pesach Schlesinger, the family of Shimon and Goldie Feld.
The battalions, the Bursteins, the Feldfabers, the Hendlisches, the Mallons, the Orlovskis, the Radziners, the Rubensteins, the Solomons, the Steinbachs, the Trymans, the Zuckermans. The family of Charles and Rella Levenstein Feldman.
Malka Ankerman, the Benashes, the Dulles, the Levensteins, Bela Levenstein Panterer, Yisrael Rakowski, Moshe Walnerman, the family of Marty and Leora Adler Feinberg.
The Adlers, Nomi Eisner. The family of Lou and Debbie Flansbaum.
The Flansbaums, the Ellabogans, the family of Carol and Jack Forgash.
The Kaufmans, the family of Kenneth Fox.
The Fuchses, the Grunbergs, the Blumenthals, the family of Steve and Sherry Fox.
The Fuchses, the Wexlers, the family of Jerry and Eleanor Rohr Frankel.
The Abrahams, Lubovitzes, the Roars, the family of Morton and Esther Friedemann.
The Friedmans, the Gassels, the Dermikes, the Katzenellenbaums, the Schneeweises, the Shines, the Zalkoviches, the Katzes, the Zandis, the Kahns. The family of Thomas and Marcia Friedman.
The Friedmans, the Feiners, the Schlosses, Thomas Platt, Amalia Levy, the family of Paula and Howard Friedman.
Max and Rose Joseph. The family of Isaac Fromm.
Philip and Hilda Fromm, Chaya Fromm, Sarah Glickstein, the family of Dror and Karen Siegel Futter.
The Rosenbergs, the Katzes, Meyer Zaluski. The family of Stephen Gelb and Miriam Holmes.
The Abelises, the Hochsites, the Kirschenbaums, 2 children of Eidlem Kessel Gewürz, Chava and Nachman Yakubowitz and family, Brandl and Simcha Kahan and 4 children, Toba and Moshe Treiber and family, the Kleinmans, the Mendlowitzes, the Rosenwassers, the Roths, the family of Andrew and Beverly Geller.
The Kolataches, the Schickas. The family of Nate and Lynn Light Geller.
The Pines family, the Mirsky family, the Choiniks, the Gluck family, the family of Anna Sukir Gerard.
The Tsukirs, the Gerards. The family of Rose Gertzberg.
The Weingartens, the Adlers, the Sushmans, the Fingerhoots, the family of Andor and Gloria Gladstein.
The Gladsteins. The family of Peter Glick and Toby Reisbaum
The
Glick.
Glicks, the Greenspans, the Kassierers, the Reisbaums, the family of Ira and Renee Stein Getz.
The Getzes, Herman Marx, Yitzchak Schoenfeld and family. The family of Phyllis and David Goldschmidt.
Lucy Goldschmidt, the Pasiglis, the family of Vera and Martin Greenwald.
The Weisses, the Gutmans, the family of Maurice and Felicia Lou Grossman.
The Kahanas, the Lebersteins, Freda Leberstein Zucker, Balbina Leberstein Guzik, the family of Kurt and Mara Gruskin.
The Berger family of Munich. The family of James and Bunny Rothstein-Hain.
Yitzchak Hain, Moshe Rothstein, the Saberniks, the family of Jack Hamburg.
Avram Yul and Devorah Buchner Hamburg. Shimon Hamburg. The family of Doris Carfinkel Hammerschlag.
The Carfinkels, the family of Roz and Alan Hantman.
The Franks. The family of Jeanette Lifshitz Heistein and Deborah Lifshitz Veach.
The Lifshitzes, the Zuckermans, the Liebermans, the family of Arnon Hiller.
Esther Silberlicht. The family of Dennis and Arlene Hirschfelder.
Isidor Hirschfelder, the family of Barbara and Simcha Hachman.
The Deutsches, the Gedarlis, the Cohens. The family of Rachel and Avi Hachstein.
Itta Goldberg, the Scala family, the family of Kenny and Janet Andron Hoffman.
The Schwartzes. The family of Aviva, David, and Zahava Horowitz.
The Kaufmans, the Horowitzes, the Rottenbergs, the Weisses, the family of Phil and Janet Hyman.
The Hechts, the family of Charles and Helen Mintz Eikowitz.
The Mintzes, the Eikowitzes, the Glazers, the Klutzes, the family of David and Marcia Jacobowitz.
The Benchkovskis, the Eisens, the Liebermans, the Nasibirskis, the Rosenwalds, the Wallmans, the Jakoboviches, the Zarnovitskis. The Topel Jaskol family.
The Topels, the Kozlovskis, the Yaskulkas, the Rosenbergs, the family of David and Richard Kahn.
The Kahns, the family of Joseph Kaplan.
Zali Abraham, Viola Brecher and 3 children, the Browns, Goldie Davidovitz, husband and 3 children, Labish Gutman, the Kaplans, the Kleins, Esti Zuckerman, husband and 2 children, the family of Sharon Penkauer Kaplan.
The Hersteins, the family of Hannah and Brian Katz.
The Zaxes, the family of Revi Kinnerick Katz.
The Bornsteins, the Grunbaums, the family of Cheryl and Michael Katz.
Rita Hoffman, the Katzes, Sonia Zalmanovich, the family of Betty Gutwine K.
The DeRovens, the Gutwines, the Rosenbergs, Naomi Sampson. The family of David and Suzanne Kelson.
The Herbsts, the Kelsons, Flora Kirshheimer, the family of Daniel and Janice Klein.
The Kleins, the Kahans, the Leibowitzes, the family of Shari and Philip Klein.
Shalom Bergstein, the Chanovskis, the Machabenskis, the Zilberminces, the Herrings, the Hirschhorns, the family of Mark and Naomi Knoller.
Ludwig and Eva Knoller, Max and Rosa Joseph, Arthur Zucker. The family of Michael and Regina Meyers Koenig.
The Koenigs, the Farkases, the Fuchses, the Meyeroviches, Wolf Yakubovich, Sroll Hirsch, the family of Eleanor Cohn and Barry Obit.
The Glasses, the Cohns, the Strausses, the family of Reuben Kulik and Francis Flug.
The Flugs, the Brauners, the family of Joyce and Joseph Korn.
The Korns, the Schwartzes, the family of Bernard and Jill Kornmel.
The Laders, the Kornmels, the family of Leib Koifman.
The Koifmans, the Schwartzmans, the family of Martin and Linda Sidletsky-Krar.
The Freilich, the Sidletskis, the Cedars, the Weinert-Wagner family, the family of Rizy Krinsky.
The Goldmans, Sarah Goldman Locker and family. The family of Walter and Marion Horngrad Krug.
Marianne Adler, the Horngrads, the Jassers, the Krugs, the family of Charlotte and Nathan Krugman.
The Hertzes, the Breslauers, the Reutlingers, the Strausses. The family of Manny and Judy Landau.
The Landaus, the Weitzners, the Flatows, the Zuckermans, the family of Esther Lauber and Alvin Reinstein.
The Blondes, the Laubers, the Embarrasses, the Reinsteins. The family of Millie Kaplansky-Lebin and Ella Kaplansky-Hyman.
The Kaplanskis, the Kinnes, the Kudlas, the Novaks, the Schleiger family, the family of Eve and Ralph Lee.
The family of Aviva Lafell.
The Moskowitzes, the family of Aaron and Esther Strauss Lehman.
Tekla Lehman, Johanna Lehman Mai, the Linds, Betty Strauss. The family of Alden and Evelyn Leifer.
The Flatows, the Lemanoviches, the Rosenbaums, the Schlissels, the family of James Lavin and Gila Leiter.
Tova Babad, the Labins, the Leiters. The family of Eileen Leisner and Barry Winokur.
Nechama Cohen, Faggy Horn, the Leisners, the family of Mark and Dina Weiss Levy.
The Siegeltocks, the Weisses, the Borgers, Valdemar Levy, the Solomons. The family of Robert and Helen Belsenbaum Levine.
The Hoffmans, the Landaus, the family of Toddy and Trudy Newman Levine.
The Schlesingers, the family of Anne Wolfowitz Lukowitz.
The Ledermans, Chaya Lukowitz, Yehuda Singer, the Wolfowiches, Simcha Yaskevich, the family of Eva and Lee Liebman.
The Bucks, the Buxbaums, the Kahns, the Kunzlers, the Liebmans, the Oppenheimers, the Rindbergs, the Schwartzes, the Wallensteins. The family of Yocheved and Nathan Lindenbaum.
The Grunbergers, the Elbogans, the family of Chazan Leon Lissick and Judge Michal Lissick.
Samuel Max Lissick. The family of Beverly Lochfeld and Jack Flamholtz.
The Flamholtzes, the Konigsfelds, the Kleiners, the Lochfelds, Sarah Mirgenstein, the Mendels, the Prosers, the Nymans, the Silbersteins. The family of Jeanette Messing Malka.
The Messings, the Walkenbergs. The family of Ralph and Judith Marcus.
The Gernsheimers, the Strausses, the Markle, Ender, Yvonne, and Simkin families.
Moshe and Cyril Aaron, the Sepelowitzes, the Frolingers, Gita Simkin. The family of Danny and Carol Singer-Metzger.
The Singers, the family of Anita and Jerry Milch.
Yosef and Gittel Hillman. The family of Barry and Evelyn Gitter Morris.
Solomon Gitter, the Laufers, the Nagelbergs, the Nestles, the Stearns, the Suchers, the family of Noel and Judy Burju Moldovan.
The Burjus, the Cohns. The family of Dov Nahari.
The Teiches, the family of Debbie and Nadav Nachshon.
The Kotz, the Bashinskis, the Bernsteins, the Schwartzes, the Shepsenwalls. The family of Rita, Rivka, Louie, and Abe Newman.
The Jaegers, the Newmans, the family of Irina Wagner Novogradsky.
The Wagners, the Schallers. The family of Arona and Milton Oring.
The O-Rings, the family of Mashi and Bob Oppenheimer.
The Goldbergs, the Teitelbaums, the Schwartzes, the Mazes, the Seligs. The family of Judy Orenstein and Gabby Muth.
The Levys, the Muths, the Orensteins, the Tellers, the family of Harold and Esther Strauss Pearl.
The Berkowitzes, the Hershkowitzes, the Strausses, the Kohlhagens, the Halberstadts, the Posens, Fega Gittelhach, the Pearls, Rachel Posen and daughter, Malka Wurzberger. The family of Susan and Bob Rapkin.
Rachel Schachter, the Stearns, the family of Walter and Ruth Ramsfelder.
The Burks, the Forsts, the Judases, Emil and Rosal Mayer, and 2 children. The family of Philip and Marlene Hoffman Rhodes.
The Hoffmans, Serena Konigsbach, the Radoskovitz family, the family of Inga and Charles Roman.
Leopold Roman, the Eidelscheins, the Leopolds, the Strausses. The family of David and Susan Rosenbaum.
The Kuyovskis, the Rosenbaums, the family of Jean and Toby Roth Rosenberg.
The Roths, the Browns, Fega Hershkovitz. The family of Saul Gelbard Rosenberg.
The Gelbards, the Schlafmix, the Sebniks, the Ausländers, Moshe Rosen, the family of Barbara Hahn Rosenfeld.
The Hans, the Pachs, the Landauers. The family of Martin Rosenfeld.
The Samuels, the Markowiches, the Heiners, the Rosenfelds, the family of Aubie and Menorah Rotenberg.
The Gerays. The family of Joseph and Barbara Rosenzweig Rotenberg.
The Rosenzweigs, the Rotenbergs, the Klugs, the family of Frida Rotmill and Pauline and Alan Rotmill.
The Bernsteins, the Frankels, Rachel Rotmill-Nishitsky, Jacques Nishitsky, the Rotmills, the Schwabisches, Pearl Werbner. The family of Israel and Miriam Kedievitz Solomon.
The Kedievitzes, the Koplowitzes, the Solomons, Chana, Shemaiah, and daughters, Naftali Springer, Rachel Zimmitbaum Springer, the family of Mel and Harriet Fruman Saltzman.
The Leschners, the Frumans, the Saltman Pensky family. The The family of Arlene and Michael Sand.
The Sands, the Sommers, Charna Newman, Helen Berkowitz and family, Shlomo Breiner and family, the family of Marlo Schachter.
The Epsteins, the family of Rabbi J.J. and Yocheved Weisbord Schachter.
The Weisbords, the family of David and Sharon Shield.
The Steins, the Shields, the family of Tzippi Wertheimer Schindel.
The Roseannes, the Rosenfelds, the Rosmarins, the Wertheimers, the family of Charlene and Myron Schulman.
The Honigs, the Malamids, the family of Joseph and Deborah Glatt Schuster.
The Glatts, the Friedmans, the Goldrads, the Cormans, the family of Tammy and Kenny Sisemski.
Laser and Dubrish Yutkovitz, Sarah and Shia Wolf Mauskopf, David Siegelman, the Sisemskis, the Goldbergs, the family of Yetta Marchuk Selengut and Charles Selengut.
The Gold Samlers, the Katzes, the family of Bella Schuldman Spicer.
The Milbergs, the Schuldmans, the family of Barbara Shupak and Stephen Tenser.
The Shupaks, the Tensors, the Zingers, the Funks, the family of Aggie Seletsky and Jerry Barta.
The Blaus, the Brons, the Frisches, the Greenblatts, the family of Larry and Blanche Hampel Silver.
The Eisensteins, the Yakuboviches, the family of Chana Simmons.
The Mincers, the Waxmans, the family of Gedalia and Elisheva Sinensky.
The Sinenskys, the Moskowitzes, the Indigs, the family of Alex Solomon.
The Solomons, the family of Roy and Devorah Aftel Spiewak.
The Aftels, Alter Haftel, the Liebermans, the family of Kalman and Elke Krater Stein.
The Mermelsteins, the Rosners, the family of Philip and Shelley Stein.
The Geltners, the family of Harold I. and Beryl J. Steinbach.
The Feldfabers, the Schwartzes, Moshe Blum, Hershita Steinbach. The family of Sheila B. Steinbach.
The Feldfabers, Esther Leah Orlovsky, Hershita Steinbach, the family of Margot K. Stern.
Johanna Kahn, Hugo Lichtenstein, Julius Lichtenstein. The family of Ronnie and Beth Stern.
The Sterns, the Lieblings, the Ehrlich, Samuel Zweig, Joseph Klein, the family of Yitz and Gila Stern.
The Sterns, the Grossman Pollocks, the Fromers, the Loeys, the family of Felice Zimmern Stokes.
The Zimmerns, the family of Bennett and Linda Storfer.
The Storfers, the family of Justin and Robin Strauss.
The Strausses, the Hilbs, the Berliners, the family of Jean and Fred Strauss.
Heinz Ansbacher, Irma Lieb, the Schlossbergers, the Strausses, the Ornsteins, the Lowensteins, the Hymans. The family of Margie and Abner Strauss.
The Bachs, the Reinfelds, the family of Norbert and Dorothy Strauss.
The Strausses, the Kohlhagens, the Halberstadts, the Posens, the Meltzers, Alexander Karpov. The family of Mike and Marilyn Taffet.
The Taffets, the family of Debbie and Mark Teicher.
The Lowingers, the Gottliebs, the Friedmans, the family of Deborah and Glenn Tolchin.
The Gazals family, the Lorbers, the family of Marcia and Robert Trins.
The Blooms, the Eichbaums, the family of Nachum and Sibya Lubovitz Twersky.
The Lubovitzes, the Torskys, the family of Hanan and Amy Vogel.
The Bodenheimers, Liesl Singer, Adele Voss, Walter Moses. The family of Helene and Sylvan Wallenstein.
The Shores, Betty Meyer, Martha and Adolf David, the family of Irma David Strauss, Regina and Jacob Ice, the family of Alice Wien.
The Hershkovitzes, the Koppitz, the Rosenfelds. The family of David and Ruth Velkovich, Robert and Sarah Velkovich Goodman.
The Altmans, the Grosses, the Kleins, the Velkoviches, the family of Henry Wertheimer.
Margot Koenig, Nathan Wertheimer. The family of Gilda Messing Winters.
The Messings, the Brands, the Wachtels, the family of Sam and Steffi Winters.
The Schoenfelds, the Winterses. The family of Francis Ginsberg Wolf and Ed Wolf.
The Ginsbergs, the Kosianskas, the Wolfs, the family of Kenny and Marlene Zweig Wolf.
The Zweigs, the family of Barbara and Neil Yaros.
The Rabinoviches, the Spiegels, the family of Irving and Marilyn Zeidel.
The Greenbergs, the Laters, the Strasbergs, the Yoskovitzes, the Zeidels. The family of Morris and Elaine Zimmerman.
The Browners, the Markowitzes, the Zimmermans, the family of Phyllis and Sandy Zlotnick.
The Fleischers, the Zlotnicks. The family of Isidore H. Zweig.
The Zweigs. Tiyena nafshotehem, tzururot b'tzror hachayim. May their souls be bound with the bond of eternal life.
Please rise. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shmei Rabbah, b'yalma divrach Yerusei v'yamlich malchusei, b'chayechon uv'yamechon uv'chayei d'chol beis Yisrael, ba'agola v'zman koriv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach li'alam el me'ol maya. Yisparach v'yishtabach v'yispoar v'yisromam v'yisnasei, v'yishadar v'yishaleh v'yishalal shmei d'kudusha barichu. Li'ela min kol birchasa v'shirasa, tush b'chasa v'nechemasa, da'amiran b'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim oleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Huseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, oleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. El molei rachamim, shoichein b'meroimim, hamitzei minuchanechaina, al kanefei hashechiena, b'malois kedoshim utehayerim kizoya harakiya mazihirim hes nishmois acheinu b'nei Yisrael hakedoshim shehom misu v'sheneherigu v'shenishchatu v'shenisrefu v'shenechneku v'shenitbeyu al kiddush Hashem mahavor shani noider tzedakah biyad hazikoras nishmoiseihem Beganei Eden Teiminu chosom Lochein balorachamim Yasetireim B'seiser kinofov li'olamim V'yitziror hachayim Es nishmoiseihem Adonai Hu nachalosam V'yanuchu b'shalom Al mishkavoiseihem